Hello, hello, I'm Tanya Dalton, owner of Inkwell Press and host of Productivity Paradox. Several weeks ago, before I launched my YouTube channel, I asked you for suggestions of topics and struggles, and I received hundreds of responses. And what I kept seeing over and over again was that so many of you struggle with intentional goal setting. Goals that essentially get you to where you want to be. So I'm shooting this video just for you. How to use visualization to achieve your goals. I'll have new videos every Tuesday, so make sure to hit subscribe. When I talk about intentional goal setting, what does that mean to be intentional? Well, intentional means a vision for your future. You're able to see where it is you intend to go. And we've talked before about goals being specific and measurable. They tell you what your endpoint is. Your vision is a broad idea, how you want to look, how you want to feel, how you want to be in the future. A sentence about your vision is called your vision statement. When I talk about your North Star, we talk about it in terms of doing, dreaming, and defining. So your vision statement, that's the dreaming part. And it's really important to have these dreams, but it's also important to have these goals. Goals and dreams work together. Your goals tell you what you want to do, while your vision tells you why you want to do it at all. You see, when you've set goals in the past and you found that you feel a little less motivated or even unsuccessful when they're completed, it's usually because it's not really connected to your why. And I think that's what's really important, the foundation of why you want to set these goals, why you want to get to that endpoint at all. So visualization is how it feels to work towards a goal that is really tied to that why. And that creates this wonderful internal motivation, so we want to work on our goals. We'll want to take the steps to move towards that vision. Visualization is called a mental rehearsal, and it's been proven by scientists that it actually works the same in your brain as if you actually did the activity. Your brain does not discriminate between what is real and what is imagined, and that is really good because we can use that to our advantage. We can use that to practice achieving our goals and how we'll feel after we've achieved them. You've probably heard about visualization through athletes because a lot of athletes use it as part of their technique to really improve. So that way they can work through the action steps they need to do without really thinking about them. It allows them to reduce the time it takes to achieve complex actions like swinging a golf club or executing a jump or diving with precision. So we can do the same thing. Even if we're not athletes, we can use visualization to help us achieve our goals. So instead of a sport, we are going to picture ourselves using our time with intention. Things that are important to you, family, passions, completing obligations without that feeling of overwhelm. And this is really important because this eliminates a lot of the procrastination you may be experiencing. You see, we procrastinate on our goals because our brain is programmed to procrastinate. It's programmed for survival. It's programmed for fear. Our brain is constantly scanning the environment for danger. You know why? Because we used to have to avoid being eaten by saber-toothed tigers. So when we go into a new situation, our brain is already preparing us for danger, to be fearful. Optimism and fun, those are newer concepts for our brain. So we need to really actively add them into our goal setting because I think it's really important that we change the way our brain thinks. Stop scanning for fear and start scanning for what is going to make us happy. So think about the process needed for achieving goals. Write out the joys that come with each of the steps. And then visualize yourself achieving each of those steps. And think to yourself, what is the very first step? As a matter of fact, to help you feel a little more accountable, go ahead and leave a comment below and share with me what's the first step you can take for a goal that you have in mind. I would love to know the smallest thing you can do to actually begin. Let me give you an example to make this easier. Let's say your intention is to spend more time with your kids. So you set an intentional goal of doing a family activity after work once a week. So why haven't you done this before? Well, there's a good chance at the end of the day, you're tired, you're a little bit brain dead, you just want to sit on the couch and veg out, right? That's okay, we all feel that way. So how can we make this goal a reality? Well, let's visualize and think through the different steps. The first step is probably creating a bank of ideas. So I want you to imagine the anticipation and the excitement of doing this planning. And then visualize the joy of telling your kids these plans. And then think about what excitement they are going to have thinking about it. And I want you to think about and visualize at work that day the happiness you'll experience knowing the activity is happening that night. Then, of course, there is the fun of the activity itself, the fun and the joy in the moment, and the memory that it will bring you long after the event is over. This joy, this excitement you're thinking about, that will motivate you to want to plan more fun activities and outings with your kids. So the feeling of joy we're talking about here, that is that why. Why are you doing it? Because we want to keep connecting and coming back to this. This is the feeling of why I'm doing this. So walking through that process really shows you more forms of motivation than fear. And so that's overcoming that danger that our brain is feeling, and we're focusing on the joy of that journey. But I want to remind you, let's be careful that when we're visualizing our future, that we keep it realistic. It needs to be achievable, provided you could work on the goals. It doesn't need to be some lofty fantasy. Focusing on these lofty dreams that are not anchored in truth, that is really demotivating and a little bit demoralizing, right? It feels disappointing. Now, this doesn't mean you can't be ambitious. Absolutely dream big. Large vision with actionable goals, do it. But you should be able to visualize the steps you need to make to have this happen. And this is why often we have trouble sticking to our goals. We need to incorporate them in our daily life, but if they're not really achievable, that's difficult. So let's go back to that example of having an intentional goal of spending time with your children doing an activity after work. I want you to ask yourself, is this realistic? Well, let's say that you work evenings. Can you really make this happen? This is what's wonderful about visualization. It tells you and it helps you differentiate what is truthfully realistic and what is not. And when it's not, you can really think through how to adjust it and how to be flexible. So you can think of different ways to achieve this intention. You could try spending time in the morning, or you could go home for lunch or meet your kids at school for lunch. You could commit to putting away work on the weekends so you can spend that focused time with them. And you can dedicate time to them wherever it really works for you. You see, vision helps us get rid of those stories we tell ourselves. A good mom is always home for dinner with her kids. That's not always true, right? So we really need to work through that through our visualization to see what is realistic for you and the way that your life runs. Everybody's different, so I think it's so important to understand that. Focusing only on our goals, that creates a single-mindedness. We really want to overcome that. We don't want to overwhelm ourselves when we focus solely on goals. We really want it tied to that vision because the vision helps us see the moving parts. And that allows our goals to work in harmony with our life. And I think that's really important. You are the architect of your life. Your vision is the blueprint. And your goals, that's the tools you'll use to actually achieve it. But if you don't know where those goals are taking you, that really causes a problem. You really want to think through, what do you want life to look like for you in a year, in 5 years? And then start creating goals to make that life achievable. It's really not that hard. Take a little bit of time to visualize, go through the steps, and it really can be so much easier to achieve your goals. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about visualization, I've got a podcast episode, episode 78, called Visualizing Success. I've also got a couple of blog posts, and I'll link to those below. If you found this video helpful, I would love it if you would like this post by hitting the thumbs up. Don't forget to comment to hold yourself accountable on the next step you can take for your goal. All right, I hope you'll subscribe because I'll have a new video for you next week. just hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have a beautiful and productive week.